The United States makes the UN work when it wants it to work. And that is exactly the way it should be, because the only question to the United States is what's in our national interest.
My name is John, and the International Criminal Court is back in session. It is February 17th, 2024, and we are nearing the second anniversary of the start of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Today, we have received big news, arguably the biggest capture since Bakhmut or Artyomovsk, which is what many people in Russia like to call it. Avdiivka, the final suburb that was still under the control of the armed forces of Ukraine since 2014 or so, and of course since the start of the current war, it has fallen to Russia. Avdiivka has fallen to Russia. Now, what does this all mean? Now, first of all, it gives the Russians a big boost in securing Donetsk City, which is the capital of the Donetsk People's Republic, also known as the Donetsk Oblast in Ukraine. It will give it more security from Ukrainian shellings and bombings and whatever kind of attacks you can think of. And also, it gives the Russians the upper hand basically in central Donetsk Oblast, which would be right here. I'm sorry. I might have zoomed out a little too much. But basically, everything here and everything, I guess, here, for instance, will now all of a sudden be on the menu for Russia. Now, the news that Avdiivka was going to fall to Russia was actually semi-confirmed a couple days ago. And I think the other day or so, Syrskyi himself announced the intention to leave the town itself. There's a lot of conflicting reports on how many AFU troops are still left in Avdiivka. But from what I understand, it ranges from like 1,000 or so to like 7,000 at the max. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a few thousand Ukrainians that are still in Avdiivka. They may have all probably surrendered already, or I don't know, they've already left the town barely, though I don't know if a lot of them got out of it alive or what. I don't know. I mean, it's likely they all mass surrendered to Russia at this point. So, with the fall of Avdiivka, as I said earlier, it opens the door to basically the flatter, less well-defended areas of Donetsk Oblast to Russia. So maybe expect an offensive in everything here, and I guess everything here in the future. Now, don't get excited about Slavyansk and Kramatorsk, because those areas are arguably the best defended in all of Ukraine. Slavyansk and Kramatorsk will not fall to Russia, in my opinion, unless Russia besieges those cities. Which means Russia will have to start a big arrow, large-scale WoW offensive in order to accomplish just that. And as you can also see here, the Russians are advancing towards Ivanevsky and Chasiv Yar. Now, Chasiv Yar has, like, literally the highest ground of all the towns and settlements near Slavyansk and Kramatorsk. And should Russia take Chasiv Yar, basically the Russians will have the firing advantage on everything in this belt here. Everything from Konstantinivka all the way up to Slavyansk and Kramatorsk. So, yeah. Ivanevsky is likely next, and I think that's going to fall to Russia. Ukrainians in general are having a very difficult time on the front right now. I mean, Russians are reported to be advancing on the left bank of the Orskoy River, though I don't think they're going to retake everything for a while. I still think they have a way to go, but what I definitely believe for a certainty that is happening is the lines are beginning to collapse, and we're seeing the effect of the lack of U.S. aid into Ukraine. There has been no aid like to Ukraine in any shape or form in like nearly 2 months. 2 months. And the House of Representatives are not able to pass it because Speaker Mike Johnson talked about how the Mexican border was more important than Ukraine. Now, agree or disagree with the man, that's literally what his stance is on the matter. Though I personally think it's an excuse to give Donald Trump a polling boost for this year's election in November. But yeah, so now that Avdiivka has been taken by Russia, expect the Russians to maybe now like free up their forces from that area and go on the offensive elsewhere in the Donetsk Oblast, even in Zaporozhye, because right now I'm hearing reports, though we have yet to hear more stuff coming in, because things are happening right now at this very moment as of recording this video. Robotyne is currently being under attack by Russia. Under attack by Russia. Russia is probably going to seek to regain everything they lost from that summer 2023 counteroffensive. So that would mean areas like Pirajaki, Lobkove, Robotyne, of course. And don't forget, maybe basically everything here going up to Orikov. Now, do I think the Russians are going to start an offensive to retake everything they lost just south of Velika Novosilka? I don't know. I think it's too early to tell, but I do believe it's in the cards somewhere. It is in the cards somewhere. Basically, everything here and here is now basically a sitting duck thanks to the fall of Avdiivka. And should Russia take everything here, they will not only be knocking on the door of Ukrainian-controlled areas in Zaporozhye Oblast, but they will then be so close to touching an area that they barely touched throughout the whole course of the war. And that is Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Dnipropetrovsk Oblast has barely seen any action in the war, except for maybe, I don't know, maybe areas just like north of like Kherson Oblast. So that would be like literally near Kryvyi Rog or Kryvyi Rih, which, as all of you know, is the home like city of Zelensky. That's literally where he's from, and a very symbolic place too. It's like one of the last. It's like part of Ukraine that still speaks Russian, along with Mykolaiv, along with Zaporozhye, Dnipro city or Dnipropetrovsk, Odessa, Kherson, you name it, along with Kharkiv or Kharkov. But yeah, in my honest opinion, the fall of Avdiivka is not only bad for Ukraine on a military level, but also on a political level. If anything, it's going to give the Republican Party in the House of Representatives more of an incentive not to vote for the aid. And despite Michael McConnell basically saying, oh, man, Mike Johnson's going to have to pass the aid at some point. Like, guys, wake up. I mean, all I see is a big liberal meltdown, to be honest, on Twitter right now. I mean, seriously. I'm literally just looking at everything right now. Moscow Mike Johnson is literally trending like 19 or almost like 20,000 tweets. But yeah, so Michael McCall literally stated that Speaker Johnson will have no choice but to pass the Ukraine aid. I don't see any way of getting out of Israel, Indo-Pacific, and eventually Ukraine coming to the floor. He's either going to have to do it, put it on the floor himself, or it's going to be by virtue of discharge petition, which is a complete evisceration of his power, because it basically says we're going to do this without the Speaker, being in charge. Literally, people, they're talking about literally getting this thing passed without the man's approval. They're already literally like coping and seething about this whole thing not doing well. Now, do I personally think Ukraine is going to literally get any more major victories in 2024 in any way, like make some miraculous comeback against Russia? No. I don't think so. I feel like Ukraine is too low on supplies and manpower to really do any of that at this point. It's just not going to happen. It just won't. And it's also definitely going to hurt Zelensky's image in Europe, too. Don't forget that. And it's also going to boost the Russian morale as well. They will now believe that victory may not be as far as they thought it was. Like, I don't know what to tell you, people. They're slowly falling apart near Chasiv Yar. They just fell apart in Avdiivka. They're also in the process of falling apart too in the vicinity of Uglidar. In fact, Russians have just taken more of the village, literally today, by the way. And now you've got an offensive developing in Zaporozhye Oblast too. Like, guys, Ukraine is looking cooked right now. Now, do I think they're actually fully cooked yet? Hell no. There's still a long way to go, but they're getting there. But anything could happen in a matter of months or so, because election 2024 is still still far off. I mean, literally, people. There's literally still a lot of time left for Ukraine to turn this thing around, but time is running out. Time is running out. And morale within the armed forces of Ukraine is falling apart too, so don't be surprised if we see even more land losses for that simple reason alone. And also, Russians now have both the numerical and overall strength advantage in Ukraine with all their firepower and such and ammunition. Russia can literally arm its troops, no matter how good or bad they are, infinitely. And it won't matter how many ships the Ukrainians sink in the Black Sea. It won't matter. It literally is not going to change anything on the actual front line itself. It just won't. So, yeah, that's going to do it for today's video, everybody. Tell me in the comment section below what you think of the fall of Avdiivka and what it means for the whole war as a whole. And, yeah, I'll keep you all posted on what's going on in the foreseeable future. And I'll see you all next time. Have a good day. Peace out.